52 teams of 8 antique rival wisdoms compete to do the future a favor and guide a life at stop2think.com. Team quote 36.1. The circulation of confidence is better than the circulation of money. James Madison 1751 to 1836. This insightful observation from Madison, one of America's founding fathers and its fourth president, reveals a deep understanding of what truly drives societal prosperity. The comparison between confidence and money is particularly clever because it suggests confidence, like money, can flow through a society. It implies trust and faith in systems are more fundamental than currency. It recognizes that economic activity depends on psychological factors. It positions confidence as a kind of social capital. What makes this especially meaningful coming from Madison is that he helped design systems of government that required public confidence to function. He understood that trust enables commerce more than cash alone. Confidence encourages investment and risk-taking. Social cohesion depends on mutual trust. Economic stability requires psychological security. This wisdom remains remarkably relevant today, as we see how market movements often depend more on confidence than on concrete factors. Have you noticed how confidence, or lack of it, can have greater effects on activities and outcomes than actual resources? Team quote 36.2. Difficulty, my brethren, is the nurse of greatness. William C. Bryant 1794 to 1878. This profound observation from Bryant, the American Romantic poet and journalist, personifies difficulty as a nurturing force that cultivates excellence. The metaphor of difficulty as a nurse is particularly powerful because it suggests difficulties help us grow and develop, implies challenges nurture rather than hinder, positions struggle as a caretaker of potential, reframes hardship as beneficial rather than harmful. What makes this especially meaningful coming from Bryant is how it transforms our view of difficulties from obstacles to opportunities. The nursing metaphor suggests that difficulties feed our potential, support our development, guide our growth, strengthen our capabilities. The use of brethren adds a personal, encouraging tone, as if sharing an important truth with family, acknowledging that while this growth through difficulty may be challenging, we're all in it together. Have you found that your greatest achievements came through periods of significant difficulty? Team quote 36.3. Man can alter his life by altering his thinking. William James 1842 to 1910. This powerful observation from James, one of the founders of modern psychology, captures the fundamental relationship between thought and reality. The quote works on multiple levels. It places agency for change within our control. It identifies thought as the precursor to transformation. It suggests our lives are shaped by our mental patterns. It implies that external change begins with internal shifts. What makes this particularly meaningful coming from James is his role in developing pragmatism and understanding the practical effects of thought on behavior. He recognized that our thoughts shape our perceptions. Our perceptions influence our actions. Our actions determine our circumstances. Our circumstances affect our experiences. The use of can rather than must or should is significant. It suggests possibility and empowerment rather than obligation. Have you experienced how shifting your thoughts about a situation has led to concrete changes in your life circumstances? Team quote 36.4. To be ignorant of one's ignorance is the malady of the ignorant. Amos Bronson Alcott 1799 to 1888. This incisive observation from Alcott, the American philosopher and educator, identifies a particularly troubling form of ignorance: the inability to recognize one's own lack of knowledge. The quote works through several layers. It distinguishes between simple ignorance and meta-ignorance. It suggests that unawareness of our limitations is worse than the limitations themselves. It implies that recognizing our ignorance is the first step toward wisdom. It positions self-awareness as crucial to learning. What makes this especially meaningful coming from Alcott, who founded experimental schools and championed educational reform, is his understanding that the greatest barrier to learning is not knowing what we don't know. Self-awareness is essential for growth. Intellectual humility enables education. The truly ignorant often feel most certain. The use of malady is particularly apt, suggesting that this form of ignorance is like a disease that prevents its own diagnosis and treatment. Have you encountered situations where people's confidence in their knowledge seemed inversely proportional to their actual understanding? Team quote 36.5. Perseverance is my motto. Sarah Breedlove, 1867–1919. This powerful declaration from Sarah Breedlove, Madam C.J. Walker, perfectly encapsulates the driving force behind her remarkable journey from washerwoman to pioneering entrepreneur and America's first self-made female millionaire. The simplicity of choosing perseverance as her motto reflects her understanding that continuous effort overcomes obstacles, her recognition that success requires sustained determination, her awareness that progress comes through persistence, her lived experience of pushing through multiple barriers. What makes this especially meaningful coming from Breedlove is how she demonstrated this principle by overcoming poverty and racial discrimination, building a business empire from scratch, creating opportunities for other Black women, persistently developing her products until they succeeded. The directness of claiming perseverance as my motto suggests not just an abstract appreciation for the quality, but a personal commitment to living it. Have you found perseverance to be a crucial factor in achieving your own goals, particularly when facing significant obstacles? Team quote 36.6. Be not simply good, be good for something. Henry David Thoreau, 1817–1862. This pointed observation from Thoreau, who lived his philosophy through active civil disobedience and environmental conservation, challenges us to make our goodness practical and purposeful. The quote works through its clever distinction between passive virtue and active contribution, between being good in nature and good in effect, between moral character and practical impact, between intention and outcome. What makes this particularly meaningful coming from Thoreau is that he lived deliberately at Walden Pond, actively opposed slavery and unjust wars, wrote to influence social change, turned philosophical ideals into concrete action. The dash in the middle creates a powerful emphasis, setting up the contrast between simply existing with good qualities and putting those qualities to meaningful use. Have you found this distinction important in your own life, between having good intentions and actively using them to accomplish something worthwhile? Team quote 36.7. He who stops being better stops being good. Oliver Cromwell, 1599–1658. That's a thought-provoking quote from Oliver Cromwell, the English military and political leader who played a critical role in the English Civil War and briefly ruled as Lord Protector of the Commonwealth. Cromwell's statement captures an important idea about moral character and personal development. Goodness is not a static state, but an ongoing process. He suggests that the moment we cease striving to improve ourselves, we begin to decline. This perspective aligns with Cromwell's Puritan beliefs, which emphasized continuous spiritual improvement and vigilance against moral complacency. For Puritans, the Christian life was one of constant refinement and progress toward godliness. The quote reflects a dynamic view of virtue that resonates beyond religious contexts. It suggests that moral character requires perpetual effort and growth, that to remain good, one must continually aspire to become better. Stagnation is, in this view, the beginning of deterioration. Cromwell was a controversial and complex historical figure, but this particular insight speaks to a timeless truth about human nature and ethical development that transcends his specific historical context. Team quote 36.8. Skepticism is the first step on the road to philosophy. Denis Diderot, 1713–1784. That's a fascinating quote from Diderot, one of the key figures of the French Enlightenment. What makes this observation particularly compelling is how it frames skepticism not as an endpoint or a purely negative force, but as a beginning, a gateway to deeper philosophical inquiry. Diderot's own intellectual journey exemplifies this principle. As the co-founder and chief editor of the Encyclopédie, He started by questioning existing knowledge and authorities, which then led him to develop more complex philosophical ideas about materialism, determinism, and natural science. It's interesting to consider how this view differs from some modern interpretations of skepticism. While some might see skepticism as cynicism or purely doubting everything, Diderot suggests it's actually the foundation of wisdom, teaching us to examine our assumptions and biases before building new understanding. And to help raise school test scores and confidence with free easy extra advantage math, spelling and reading workbooks you can download for free at stop2think.com or buy at educationstopshate.com. Free easy math wisdom workbooks with octa repetition to grow math self-confidence. You'll get plenty of repetitive practice of age ranges and averages of our 52 teams of 8 quote authors. Free easy alpha cipher-coded puzzles teach letters, numbers, and phrases using antique wisdoms that encourage and educate. Can you decode this cipher quote of encouragement using either our learning to spell or just for fun instructions? And since time is money, practice reading faster with 52 teams of antique rival wisdoms. We offer printed versions and timed videos with background music. Sign up for free weekly emails of 52 teams of antique rival wisdom workbooks with easy math, spelling, and reading practice. And if you'd like to get paid for sharing our wearable wisdoms, keep this in mind. Everyone I know wears a shirt, and most of us change them daily, so change your shirt and change the world. Social equalities are blatantly subliminal antique positive wisdoms repetitively shared without saying a word. This applies to all our wearable shareable wisdoms, like pretty witty baby onesies and pretty witty kids. Youthful truths let your kids gain confidence, sharing antique wisdoms with their friends. Imagine them sharing words of wisdom with classmates and teachers. I think, therefore I think tees I wear is a super easy way to share words of wisdom. With wearable wisdoms to fit babies, kids, and adults, you can clothe a whole family, city, or state. So do the future a favor by encouraging, educating, and entertaining with words of wisdom. Make us all wiser and kinder. And for a downloadable PDF of these team quotes, join the 52 of 8 today.